Oh, did you see that animation, DJ?
Oh, I did. Let's see it
Look at that
again.
image expand out. The image pushes out
Yeah, yeah.
and becomes bigger.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
And
nice.
the label pops in from the right. It's a good
Yes,
transition.
that's nice. Selling fast.
Okay, so let's have a look at some of the images. See other angles. Yeah, I like it. Quite loose. Ooh, a little bit transparent.
Okay.
Would you want these on a slideshow? Because I think I've seen those before, where it automatically skims past.
No, I don't like that. I want to be in control. Yeah, and then I think I usually, if there's a video available, I always look at it. I find it really helpful, actually, and not a lot of fashion apps do it. In motion view of the item and someone wearing it is really helpful.
Yeah, I think that the images only do so much, but they obviously help. And one of the biggest problems of the shopping experience is that you actually want to try it on, etc. So to have a video just give you any more information you can is a really good thing.
Your audio cut out a few times, actually, there, DJ. It was really weird. Normally it's okay, but
No,
yeah, it cut out a few. But I think we understood what you're saying there.
even so, you agreed with my point. So
Yeah, it's just better when we can't hear you. It's just easier to agree with you.
I'm not sure you're finding it funny enough, Sakky.
I'm sweating. I'm sweating.
Why is the size drop down empty?
Because we haven't selected it yet.
No, we selected a filter for M.
Yeah, we filtered on it.
Technically, I can imagine that would be so challenging to say if you selected one filter and only one filter, auto-populate the size. I can imagine it being an awesome feature where you're just like, whoa, you know? But I can imagine,
Well,
as
hang on
Oana would say, in the PM's roadmap, that would be much further down the board, I can imagine her saying.
but you've just literally done it on the filters, so I'm confused how it would be so difficult to pass that through to this page.
Mate, I'm just guessing. I'd love it if it existed. I'm just guessing, that's why.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm questioning, is it actually a UX decision, not an implementation decision?
I personally just select a couple of sizes because, as you could tell, there's like too much choice. So I usually go for 8, 10, medium, small, and kind of then when I go to the top itself, then I'll decide the actual fit that I want, because some tops I want to be more loose fitting, right? So it's actually like I would personally find it a little confusing, although it would make the whole experience easier if I just selected one. Like, I definitely agree with that.
Another thing that stands out to me here, going back to the Domino's app as well, where it was quite heavy on making you click through, converting, adding to basket. Here again, similar to the previous screen, it's not always such a push. It is well thought out. The CTA for add to bag, for example, is hidden underneath the nav bar. They could have easily made that a sticky CTA to promote that a little bit, but here they've got it tucked under once you start scrolling. So it's really putting the content first again, making sure that you're probably really interested in this thing and you want it. They're consistent with that. It's different, but they're consistent with it, and it's not so in your face as well, which is quite nice.
I definitely agree. I think that's a big point, because I think as a designer starting out, or or even a midweight designer, you would probably put the importance of having a call to action like add to bag quite high, and so you'd always want to have it sticky or something like that. And probably stakeholders will ask, can the button be above the fold? So I think it is a very bold point that they've chosen not to do that, but hopefully it's testament to the fact that they have customers that want to actually explore and get the right product, as opposed to just rushing them through a checkout process.
Let's select a size, because there's one interesting feature here. Fit
Oh,
assistant.
I actually do use this fit assistant because it does help sometimes actually to, like, for example, for me, if a top is a medium or a small, so I can get my muscles to show quite tight.
yeah, what
But
What
muscles?
muscles?
Yeah.
two for two, really. Being a returning customer and having used it regularly, it does sometimes actually pop up to you and recommend it, but it's very varied. Like, I don't find it to be super consistent, and I don't know if that's actually them just being clever and recognizing it, But I think actually the impression I get is that they've just made a mistake.
I actually trust it weirdly, even though I don't have a
Oh.
reason to. But because of the fact that it doesn't always suggest the very same size for every single item, or gave me the impression that there must be some sort of clever algorithm behind it that also takes into account the type of clothing it is. So whether it should sit looser or tighter on your body. But having said that, it would be nice. I have thought about it before, that it would be nice to understand what goes into it, because otherwise I'm not going to blindly just trust it.
I think the problem I had one time was that I thought it was the exact same product in different colors, and the fit assistant was different. The recommended size was different. And I don't know if I made a mistake there by not realizing there was a slight nuance between the products or not. But I think again, just having that extra clarity, like I don't know if this is not exactly in the realm of AI, which you very much deal in, Rana, but I have heard you talk about explainability, which just explains the rationale behind what the recommendation is, and I think that would just give me a bit more confidence.
Yeah, also sounds like user error for that product, the same product in two colors.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
It's not a great day for me, is it?
As someone that hasn't seen this before, I'm a little bit confused. If I just tap sign in and get your recommendation, does that lead me to signing in?
Is that a button?
Hey, it is. See, but that's really, the discoverability is really low on that. I'm almost thinking flip the two of Fit Assistant and sign in, because the Fit Assistants, that looks more like a button, but it's a title, and sign in looks more like a title, but it should be a button.
They've gone for consistency over like what's appropriate in this particular scenario, right? Because if you look at all their other buttons, they are like that, and it kind of makes sense outside of the Fit Assistant, because done looks like a call to action ish, sizing help ish as well, although it could be improved, I guess. But in this particular scenario, because it's so close and the copy is so long, right? Like sign in and get your recommendation. It doesn't actually look like a call to action on its own. It looks as if it's part of the text, also because it's so embedded with the rest of the text. So I wonder if they've actually sacrificed usability for consistency here, so that they have all their calls to action in the same style.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, and that
Well,
that does reminds me that does reminds me about design system principles, because I do remember I believe it's Salesforce that do have some principles around the design system. One was the fact that actually, yeah, making things have better clarity was more important than consistency. And I think this would be a great example where you could apply that.
While yes, the design system, you'll have elements that you're meant to reuse. Here, yeah, when you do look at it, if you're saying when you've got two other kind of buttons with sizing help and done, how does this fit into? This is obviously like a unique scenario to an extent, and yeah, I think it makes sense to adjust to accommodate for that. And yeah, especially as a new person, I think it's imperative that you guide me a little bit here, and I don't feel that that's as clear as it should be.
So as a side note, I read somewhere that competent junior designer can follow a design system and put together a good design. A senior designer knows when to follow the design system and when to bend and break the rules accordingly. So I think that's a good example of that.
That's going in my quote book. You know what I mean?
Is that just not giving senior designers an excuse to do what they want to do?
Yeah, and we need it.
I'd be curious to know how many hits these you might like sections get. I think the by the look maybe makes sense because you're completing the outfit. But if you're in this page, I don't think you would actually click on any of these other items until you've added it to bag, for example.
Yeah, I actually would flip them around. I guess I'm talking more from a user's perspective than from a design critique perspective. But I think buying the look feels like closer to the item than you might also like. Also in terms of hierarchy, actually, right? Because it's the things that you're seeing in the photos you want to potentially also purchase. Whereas things that are similar-ish are probably like secondary, I would say, in that hierarchy.
Absolutely.
Because you know what? When I see things on Instagram, you get like someone's advertising a particular product, and Instagram do have that cool feature now where it has the kind of dots that actually highlights over each product that's in that image, and then you can see more. And I like that because often, when you do see a single image, the whole look actually is quite nice. And so the
Yeah.
ability to then be like, oh, the item I actually also want is really good. So I think that could be better closer as well, even potentially in the image, right? Having a way to surface that.
I think it just gets forgotten about. You might have really liked this whole fit. Yeah, the top is what
Mm.
you're looking for, but you might be like, yo, okay, that's actually a really good fit. And it might delve you into this area of like, oh, I want to look at these pants as well. And yeah, I think it does get neglected quite often, actually.
Okay, I guess if you guys want to buy me this top, then I'll have to accept it.
Alrighty, we'll hit out the bag. Okay, got to sign in now. How do you guys feel about that sign in prompt at that point?
I feel kind of turned off a bit